Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a literal mind-bender of a study that hit the journal Nature in May 2026. And honestly, it completely shatters what we thought we knew about the human brain. We're talking about the secret, highly active life of the unconscious mind. By the end of this, you are never going to look at sleep, or surgery for that matter, the exact same way again.
So let's just jump right in. Picture this. You're lying on an operating table. The doctors have given you the drugs, and you are totally knocked out for surgery. But what if, deep inside your brain, you're actually listening to a podcast? It sounds like straight-up science fiction, right? Well, according to this new research, it's actual science fact.
To really grasp how wild this is, we gotta set our baseline here. Because general anesthesia, it isn't just a really good nap. It's a medically induced coma-like state. Your memory, your perception of pain, completely switched off. To the outside world and even to your own conscious awareness, you are entirely powered down.
And that brings us to the main conflict we're unpacking in today's explainer. For the longest time, the scientific assumption with it complex cognition, things like grasping semantics, parsing grammar, forecasting future events, well, that strictly required you to be fully conscious. But this new discovery, it reveals the exact opposite. Turns out, the unconscious brain is actively receiving stimuli, it's processing semantics, and yeah, it's actually predicting words.
So who's the star of the show here? Enter the hippocampus. Now, as you probably know, this is a deep brain structure that's absolutely crucial for memory. Now, in the past, scientists already knew that the more superficial parts of the brain, the ones that first detect sensory input, could register simple sounds while you're unconscious. But the hippocampus? That is deep in the engine room. Finding complex activity way down there during a coma-like state is completely unexpected.
To figure out what the hippocampus is up to in the dark, a team led by neurosurgeon Dr. Samir Sheft over at Baylor College of Medicine took a super direct approach. They looked at 7 patients. Specifically, they recorded the real-time individual neuronal firing of exactly 7 epilepsy patients. See, because these folks were already undergoing brain surgery, the researchers had this incredibly rare direct window right into their deep brain tissue.
Okay, let's walk through exactly how they pulled this off. Step 1, administer the anesthesia drug propofol. Put the patients entirely under. Step 2, play a series of repetitive beeps and tones of different pitches. And then step 3, and this is where it gets really fascinating, play segments of a 10-minute podcast. Now, let's look at the results of these tests, and we'll start with those simple audio tones.
Part 1. Asleep but still listening. The beep test. So this first phase was tested on 3 of the unconscious participants. They just wanted to see how the deep brain handled basic sensory input. The researchers played varying tones and beeps for 10 minutes. And the recordings? They showed that the hippocampus actually got better at differentiating the tones over that time period. Let that sink in for a second. The patients are in a medically induced coma, yet their deep brains are actively learning to distinguish between different audio pitches. It's wild.
Part 2. Predicting the next word. The podcast experiment.
Now for this phase, the researchers shifted from those simple beeps to complex audio. They played a 10-minute podcast for 4 of the unconscious participants. And what they found was that individual neurons were actually responding to specific parts of speech, like they successfully distinguished nouns from other words. But here is the absolute kicker. The neurons were using the context of the sentence to anticipate upcoming words. Your brain is literally doing grammar homework while you're out cold. I absolutely love this quote from Dr. Sheath because it summarizes exactly what they were seeing on the monitors. He said, they were literally predicting what the next word is going to be. So the brain, it isn't just some passive receiver letting sound wash over it like water. No way. Even under heavy sedation, it's an active prediction machine. It's forecasting the immediate future based on linguistic context.
And if you're sitting there wondering just how good the sleeping brain actually is at this prediction game, well, check out this comparison. The researchers had a control group of fully awake people listen to the exact same podcast. And when they compared the data, awake versus asleep yielded a completely comparable performance. The unconscious hippocampi were quite literally keeping pace with the conscious ones.
Dr. Sheth points out something really beautiful about our biology here. He says, the brain has developed such amazing, sophisticated mechanisms for doing all these complex tasks all day long, that it can do some of these things even without us being aware. It really just makes you appreciate the raw evolutionary horsepower sitting inside your skull, It's just working tirelessly behind the scenes whether you're awake or asleep.
Part 3. Redefining complex cognition. The paradigm shift.
So why does this specific study fundamentally change our understanding of human psychology and neuroscience? Well, let's summarize the key takeaways so we understand exactly why this matters for all of us. First up, general anesthesia is clearly not a complete brain shutdown. I mean, the lights are off, sure, but the machinery? It is definitely still running. Second, deep brain regions are continuously processing environmental stimuli. It's not just the superficial sensory cortex doing the work. And third, and perhaps most importantly, complex cognition simply does not strictly require conscious awareness. Your brain is essentially always on the clock.
Which actually leads me to a final kind of spooky thought to leave you with today. If your unconscious brain is always listening, always parsing grammar, always predicting, what else is it learning without you? Think about it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, stay curious and keep wondering about that incredible machine inside your head.